Thank you, Carola. The turnover of local authority houses must have been held up due to COVID-19 and due to the disruption of construction. Have you a timeline, Minister, as to when these works can commence on these houses? And while everything has slowed down, which is very stressful to those urgently seeking councils, I'm delighted that 2 houses came available in Drimoleague yesterday and 1 in Doris West Cork yesterday, which was good news for those applicants. Minister, I respect this question you can't answer right now, but 2 new social housing developments, 1 in Dunmanway and the other in Bandon, has had huge amount of applications when it came up in CBL. When will these houses be handed out? You might get back to me with that answer here, as I am inundated from people who are pleading with me to find out when the houses will become available as they've made applications. We have been pushing for housing for people to live in rural Ireland and to our islands as well in West Cork. We now know why rural Ireland is the safest place for people to live. The rules set for one-stop houses in rural Ireland will now have to be relaxed to allow people who want to come and live in rural Ireland be allowed to do so. Will you support this, Minister? As a straight-up question. And also, I've been a long-time advocate of a rural resettlement scheme where the focus would be to take people from overcrowded hotels or cities and resettle these people in rural communities. I see small towns and villages in West Cork like Allies, Goleen, Cailkildep, Ballincarriga, Ballinadee and Unionhall who could well benefit from a scheme like this. These people could live in a healthy environment, almost fully clear of the COVID virus. This rural resettlement scheme was included in the last programme for government, and the question I ask, why didn't it happen? And are there any plans to carry out a rural resettlement scheme going forward?
Thank you, Ken, and thank you, Deputy. Deputy, you won't know this, but my granddad is actually from Adrigal in O'Sullivan. I know the area well enough, not as well as I'd like to know it. And I was due to go down there again, actually, to look at housing provision. There was a social housing down in Castletown Bear and on Bear Island as well, to see how we could use public money to help repopulate parts of our country in line with the National Planning Framework, as I had mentioned, and things like what we want to do around the broadband plan. I'll have to come back to you on the Bandon site that you mentioned, and Dunmanway as well, just to make sure. I don't want to give you the wrong information. I don't have it to hand at the moment. But the important thing that we've been able to do, notwithstanding the emergency, notwithstanding the closure of construction sites generally across the country, is that there's somewhere between 35 and 40 sites now open that are building social housing homes, roughly about 1,000. There was 6,500 homes under construction on site at the end of last year, so about 1,000 of them are back under construction because they're almost at completion. And we gave sanction, working with the housing agency, to local authorities to open up certain sites. There's a next wave coming, but that'll probably be overtaken by the lifting of restrictions on the 18th of May for construction generally. So we are trying to get that started up back very, very quickly, and indeed some sites are actually underway at the moment. But there's a couple of schemes that were there as pilots in relation to how we approach planning and house building in some parts of the country, particularly in smaller villages and towns, that we are now trying to see, can we broaden them out to be national schemes so that we can see new homes being built, not just vacant homes being repurposed, but new homes being built under those funding lines. And it's an important piece of work. I think that's going to face the next government, because it's a big part of the National Planning Framework, is making sure that 75% of future growth happens outside of Dublin. And we have different regions and different regional drivers identified and different balances of growth between those regions that we want to achieve. It can only be achieved if we're building new homes in almost every part of the country, but also building in a way with the right planning in place as well. Because, as I said earlier, we don't want to build homes and leave people stranded in homes without services, without a community. Thank you.